Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
I really appreciate your presence and allow me to come before you to present a very important topic. Juvenile criminals tried as adults. Are juveniles fit to be tried as adults and subject to adult prison? This is the question to keep in the back of your mind. My name is Pursuasive, and this is Speech Class 1311. At the end of this presentation, you all will emphatically agree with me that juveniles in adult prisons are more likely to increase their anxiety, paranoia, and suicide. Juveniles in adult prison are more likely to reoffend and commit serious crimes upon release. Juveniles in adult jails and prisons have a better chance of being rehabilitated in the community if we will pull together our community resources to address this problem. The first thing I want to share with you are some very grim statistics that affect our youth and reasons why they are apt to end up in adult prison. This particular slide shows us or gives us statistics about abuse and neglect. There's a control group and there's a group that's affected by abuse and neglect. Now, the control group means that they do not have the issues of abuse or neglect. Now, when children are neglected or abused, as you can see, there's a higher percentage that they will be arrested as a juvenile. There's a higher percentage that they will be arrested as adults. And there's a higher percentage that they will be arrested as juveniles and end up in adult prison environments. Think about that for a minute. Abuse and neglect. If children are being abused and neglected, then who are we to judge them and deem that they have the mental faculties to think as adults and the culpability as an adult to end up in an adult prison? Our research shows that between 1985 and 1997, the number of minors admitted to state prison more than doubled. There's 200,000 young people with criminal offenses that same year. Why is that? Why are we seeing such grim statistics in America? Because our youth are not being mentally developed. It takes the community, it takes parenting, and it takes a wholesome environment, as proven in the last screen, for youth to do better and not commit crimes. This is an illustration of the brain. Suicide notes coming from youth. Just an illustration to reiterate the fact that our youth are not being properly developed. And so they should not be expected to think and rationalize as adults. When an adult commits a crime, we consider, unless they're mentally insane, that that adult knew better than to commit that crime. But when a child commits a crime and they've not been mentally developed, then they are not as culpable as an adult. There's some excuse. There's some mitigating circumstances when a child commits a crime. And we have to look into those root causes and address those root causes so that this problem would not be so prevalent in our society. The Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology by Northwestern University in 1998, there was an article written by Mr. Thomas F. Girardi called Justice for Children. How do we get there? In this article, Mr. Girardi is a lawyer. And in this article, he cites a particular case, a particular client of his that's 13 years old. And this is what he has to say about his 13-year-old client. His IQ is 54. He reads at a 3rd grade level. He seems to have little comprehension of what's going on around him in court. When he was placed on probation 6 months ago, the juvenile judge who sentenced him ordered the Department of Children and Family Services to find him residential placement. He was sent home to await placement. No placement was found. Here is a clear failure in the community from the Children's Services, who did not find residential placement for a 13-year-old with an IQ of 54 and could not comprehend his surroundings. How is such a youngster deemed to be a thinking adult and destined to go to an adult prison? Again, in the article it says, social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists are enlisted to help develop a family history and to identify educational deficits and emotional and psychiatric needs. The work of lawyers, social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists team reveals that our client is heavily gang-related, primarily as a result of gang allegiance of his older brother. Our client is failing in school. He attends school infrequently. His mother is a single parent who is unemployed. She is challenged by the task of nurturing and supporting her 2 sons and 3 daughters, all under age 17. Here we have a situation of a 13-year-old boy who's gang affiliated because he's influenced by his older brothers and his older brother's friends. He's one of 5 children, and his mother is unemployed. He's poorly educated. Here's a child that has not had a chance to mentally develop. Yet, he's before a court, and it's to be determined whether he's to be tried as an adult and sent to an adult prison. That's not fair. That's not justice. And we have to do better as a community. The community has a responsibility towards our young people. Churches, mosques, synagogues, youth enrichment programs, you name it. We just have to get involved. If our children were better educated, if they understood or could better cope with the fact that they're in a single parent situation and that the father is not around to give them the fatherly guidance, if we can better challenge our communities as far as its gang violence and gang influences are concerned, then we can divert these children and limit the possibility of their criminality and avoid their prosecution in adult courts and ultimately avoid the fact that they will end up in adult prisons. Considering the social-economical issues that tend to cultivate the criminality of children, social workers, faith-based initiatives, and residential/therapeutic community programs are viable alternatives to children being placed in adult prison, even for the most serious offenders. What are we saying here? When children go to adult prison, they will not be educated. They will not be nurtured properly. They will only learn how to commit crimes more better or more effectively. They will continue to participate in gang activity because our prisons are running rampant with it. There's no educational system in our adult prison system. In the juvenile system, they're better set up to provide GED programs, to provide vocational skills, or whatever the case may be. So let's not throw our children to the wolves. Let's not put them in a situation where they will become more decadent, but let's put them in a situation where they can grow and develop into rational thinking adults. And only in the community and in our juvenile systems can this be done. It just cannot be done. Virtually impossible to be done in an adult prison environment. I thank you for your time in listening to this cause, and I pray that you will side on the side of justice, which is not to send our children to the adult prison system. Thank you.
Bravo. That was good. That was good.